Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to be unboxing my very first Dreamcast. I've never owned a Sega console at all before, and the Dreamcast is definitely the one that looks the most interesting to me. In a recent video that I made where I was looking at all of the Berserk games, I reviewed the Dreamcast Berserk game and said that I might pick one up in the future. And a lot of people seemed interested in that, so I thought I would get one. I've got a few games to show off as well. So let's crack this open, look at it for the first time, and see if it actually works. Let's go! So, first of all, we've got the controller. This is the first time I've ever even held a Dreamcast controller. It's like the original Xbox controller in the way that it doesn't have a like R1 or L1 equivalent. And the buttons are actually the same as the Xbox as well, with the A, B, X and Y being in the same place. So that's interesting. Probably going to want to tidy this up a little bit. It's a little bit dirty at the moment, but I'll do that in a second. But that's good. The wire length looks pretty good, which is something that I was a little bit worried about, but hopefully that won't be an issue. Just got the standard composite cables here. I'll go a bit more into that later on. For now, I'm just going to use these cables, which aren't the best quality, but I do plan on upgrading to SCART at some point, but that's a little bit complicated using my setup at the moment. Well, actually, there's a couple more bits in here. So we've got a VMU. This Dreamcast that I got off of eBay came with a VMU, so that's good. I can actually save my games. The batteries aren't working in it at the moment, but I think I've got replacement batteries, provided that I've actually got the right ones. So hopefully we'll be able to take a look at that later on. Right, we've got a standard power cable. Looks like the same as a PlayStation power cable actually. So I've got a lot of them. Too many of them, some might say. And now here we go. The actual console. The Dreamcast. Right, let's get this box out of the way now. There we are. It's quite heavy. It kind of looks kind of similar to a PlayStation 1 in a way, with the way that it actually has a lid that opens up and you pop the disc in. So there we go, good to know that that works. Obviously I can't test it at the moment because it's not plugged in, so we'll get to that in a second. Also as well, this is a little bit dirty. I'm definitely going to need to clean this up, but hopefully it works. I hope it does anyway, because I paid quite a lot for this. But yeah, let's crack into the games, shall we? It's only basic stuff. I didn't get anything too rare or interesting, but I just wanted to get something basic so that we could actually test it out and so that I had something to play. Otherwise I'd just be sat there looking at a console that I can't even use. Only one of these games is... Oh, actually no, I guess there's two that I'm interested in, but it came in a bundle of 4 technically, with 2 of them not looking all that appealing, but they were in the bundle, so I might as well give them a try. And then we've got the actual games. My first ever Dreamcast games. Pretty good. It's not very often that I get a new console. So you can probably see the games that I've got here. So I've got one that's called Spirit of Speed 1937. And I had never heard of this, but it's made by LJN, who are obviously notoriously bad game developers, made famous by the Angry Video Game Nerd. But supposedly this game is actually sort of decent, but so average that it's just not interesting. But yeah, this just came with the pack of games, so I've got it in my collection now apparently. Apologies for the noise, my cats are just going absolutely bonkers running after each other, so if you hear any tip-taps of paws, that'll be what that is. But yeah, the disc actually feels loose in this, which is why I'm holding it kind of weirdly. I wonder if the case is broke. Oh my god, what is going on here? It's a double-sided... Oh, are all Dreamcast games like that, where they're double-sided? I don't even know. There we go, so we've got... Oh, this is the other game that doesn't have a case. It's F1 World Grand Prix for Dreamcast. Not my sort of thing, not really interested in this, but we'll give it a go, see if it works, see what it's like. So yeah, 2 racing games in my collection, and I don't really like racing games. Interesting that it's a double-sided case, though. That's weird. I wonder if they're all like that. Right. There we go. It's not actually broke either. The disc just wasn't in it properly. So that's nice. I've got a fully functional Dreamcast game case there. So, the other game that I've got that I'm a little bit interested in, but it's not my sort of thing, really, is ChuChu Rocket. I've never played it, but I've looked up gameplay of it, And it looks a bit confusing. It's like a puzzle game, I think, where you need to guide mice to like a certain point in order to get like a high score. At least I think that's the gist. I think that what made this game popular at the time is that it was one of the first Dreamcast games to have online play. So that probably made it more popular because of that. But it's also developed by Sonic Team, I'm pretty sure. Or at least it has something to do with Sonic Team. It says Sonic Team Presents. So yeah, that's interesting. Let's have a look if this case is double-sided. It is! So, whoa, and the disc isn't in there properly either. Whoever put these discs in here clearly didn't know how to put them in properly. It's not even that the cases are broke either. There we go. Right, this one even has the manual as well, that's pretty cool. I wonder why all of them are double-sided cases. Really strange. And then, finally, we've got the game that I actually wanted, which is the first Sonic Adventure. I have played this, but I've never played the original Dreamcast version. I played it on PC, actually. So yeah, I know that the Dreamcast version is a little bit different, like some of the character models are different and stuff, so it should be interesting playing through it in its original format. So yeah, we've just got the game disc in here. And then on the other side, yeah, there's nothing on the other side. This one didn't come with the manual, but I'm not really too fussed about that. As long as I've got the case and the disc, I don't really mind. So yeah, technically 4 games in my Dreamcast collection at the moment, but really only 3. I don't really consider the F1 game to be a part of it, considering it doesn't have the case. Pretty cool how the double-sided though, because that means because I've got the extra disc, it can go in a case. So that's nice, at least it's safe. But yeah, I think with all of that out of the way, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tidy up the console, the controller, the VMU. We're going to plug it all in and see if it works and play some of these games. So I'll see you in a minute. So, my original plan for the position of the Dreamcast was actually going to be on this new shelf unit that I recently got, which currently houses the PS1 and the NES. The logic here is that all of the consoles over in this area are plugged into the CRT TV because these consoles have some light gun games on them that I want access to. A future Dreamcast game that I want to get is House of the Dead 2, so it makes sense to have it here. The theory was that it would be placed here where this Yoshi toy currently lives, and then the Dreamcast collection would go here where my Donkey Konga bongos are. That way the Dreamcast stuff is separate from the Xbox, PlayStation and Nintendo stuff too, so it remains all organised. Unfortunately though, for the time being, I actually can't have power go into this TV unit, the main TV unit and the PC area all at the same time, due to only having a single power supply in the game room. I clearly need to get another socket put in here at some point in the future, but for now I had to scrap this idea and just set up the Dreamcast in my main TV unit. This unfortunately means that I had to remove the Wii U, with that probably being my least used console that's actually in this TV unit. But seeing as I'll probably be using the Dreamcast quite a lot, I think this is for the best. Before we get into the actual games, I want to mention that the way that I'm recording this footage is through composite cables being plugged into the RetroTink 2X upscaler and then into my capture card. This is not an ideal setup in the slightest because the image quality through the composite cables is absolutely terrible and the Dreamcast is capable of much more than this. As well as the image being messy though, it was also messing up certain colours. Most notably the colour red is displayed as this strange distorted green colour, which obviously looks awful. Strangely, this colour distortion only seems to apply when I play the games in the 60Hz mode. But this really shouldn't be affecting anything with the setup that I'm using. My short-term solution to this is that I'm gonna buy the Kaiko Dreamcast HDMI adapter, which is apparently quite good for the price and drastically improves the quality over composite cables. Eventually I want to upgrade my entire setup to use SCART cables, but in order to do that I first need to get a RetroTink 5X because the 2X which I currently have doesn't support SCART, and without an upscaler I wouldn't be able to record from any of these consoles. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about Sonic Adventure. Obviously I've only played a small section of this so far, but at the moment I'm quite enjoying it, and it's easily the best game out of the bunch that I own. It is a little bit janky with the movement. With Sonic being designed around going fast, it can make doing small precise motions pretty difficult because he accelerates so quickly. The main thing that struck me at the moment is that the music is phenomenal. Like I said earlier, I have played Sonic Adventure before, but it was the PC version and it was quite a while ago, so I had forgotten just how good the music was. Another nice little detail is that the Dreamcast VMU displays different images depending on what game you're playing and what you're doing in the game. This is a cool little novelty, but it's something which obviously isn't in the other versions of the game, so that gives the Dreamcast some exclusive features not present anywhere else. I'm pretty sure that there's even a full-on minigame that you can import into the VMU later, but I didn't get that far into it to test that out. I'm definitely going to be finishing this game at some point because this is by far the one that I enjoyed the most. The second game I tried out was ChuChu Rocket. From the small amount of gameplay I watched online of this, it looked absolutely insane and I couldn't tell what was going on. This impression turned out to be accurate at first because the game just throws you in and doesn't give you any kind of tutorial or anything. I mean, maybe it does have a tutorial, but I just went for the first option on the menu, so maybe that's on me. After a while of messing about with the controls though, I finally worked out what the hell was going on, and it turns out that I actually quite like this. I think this would be an awesome multiplayer game, but unfortunately at the moment I only have one controller. The objective here is to use the face buttons on the controller to place arrows pointing either up, down, left or right, and by doing this you need to guide as many mice into your coloured rocket as possible. There's loads of things that can affect the game board though, and the location of your rocket can change, cats can appear which will deduct points from you, and loads more. It's extremely fast paced and very overwhelming at first, but once you get used to it and start placing arrows around enemy rockets to divert their mice away and steal them, it all starts to click together. When I get a second controller I'll probably dive more into this with my girlfriend. The third game I attempted was Spirit of Speed 1937, and this was an absolutely abysmal experience. I'm not the biggest racing game guy anyway, but this just seemed terrible. It feels so slow, you can't make turns very easily because the turning circles of the cars are so wide. There was only one other racer on the track for some reason, and the actual track layout was so incredibly boring that I wasn't sure I even wanted to finish a single race. Not only that, but the race was 10 laps long, which took forever, and I legitimately don't think I'll ever play this again. Maybe I just needed to adjust some settings or choose a different car or something, but I really can't be bothered to go through the hassle of finding the perfect setup in a game I have zero interest in. It's almost a little bit annoying that this is even in my collection, but I guess you always need to have one game that makes you angry when you look at it. The final game of today's video is F1 World Grand Prix, and this is also not very good. Again, my main issue is with the turning being really wide. Is this just something wrong with me? Maybe I'm just really bad at driving or something. But either way, this is quite clearly better than Spirit of Speed. There's more than a single other racer on the track for one thing, but something I did actually like was how you can pick a track which is based on a real F1 track in real life, and then you can choose a simulation mode which actually changes the weather, lap number and other settings to reflect what it was actually like in the real F1 championship in 1998. That would actually have been pretty cool for fans of F1 at the time. It also features real-world drivers and cars, so I guess if you are actually invested in the sport, this would have been awesome. I, however, am not into the sport, so it was extremely mediocre to me. Again, the races just took forever. This time a single race consisted of 12 laps, and I turned it off before even finishing a single race because the track was so goddamn long that it felt like it took forever just to complete one lap, never mind 12 of them. So overall, probably not the best introduction to the Dreamcast, honestly, with weird visual glitches due to my setup and half the games not being to my taste. But this is only the beginning. When I've got a way of improving the visuals and built up my collection with some outright classics, I know that I'm gonna become a fan of this system. There's also a ton of peripherals that I want to try out too, so I hope to get a lot of mileage out of this. With me being a complete novice to the world of the Dreamcast, let me know of any game recommendations you have, as well as any advice you have about the Dreamcast itself. I know that it's quite easy to burn your own games to DVDs and play them that way, but what other tips are out there? Is anyone else's Dreamcast really loud when it's loading things too? I've heard that this can be the case, but it really is quite ridiculous. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you join me when I eventually do a second part of my Dreamcast journey too. Give the video a like, subscribe to see more stuff like this coming soon, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!